gente! Bem-vindos de volta ao canal. Olha o que eu trouxe hoje. Say hi.
Oi.
Finalmente eu trouxe ele, porque vocês pediram muito, né? Então, ele tá aqui finalmente. O cachorro também tá aqui. Então é isso, ele tá aqui pra responder as perguntas de vocês que vocês fizeram no Instagram. Se você não segue lá, já segue agora. E...
I have no idea what's going on.
É isso, a gente vai começar a responder as perguntas de vocês. Tem uma pergunta, gente, que basicamente 6 pessoas perguntaram, então vou encher aqui a tela.
A lot of perguntas.
Eu vou encher a tela aqui com as perguntas e basicamente como vocês se conheceram. E algumas pessoas perguntaram quem deu a iniciativa, como foi a primeira conversa, enfim. Vou pedir pra ele falar primeiro.
We met on an app. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Ok, Cupid.
Yeah, that one. Okay. We moved off the app like within a week of meeting each other, so...
We didn't spend a lot of time.
Yeah, we didn't spend a lot of time there. It's not a very good app for like talking really. So we moved to, we didn't move to
WhatsApp.
Messenger. Yeah, we moved to WhatsApp. I'm pretty sure I started the conversation, didn't I?
I guess.
I'm pretty sure I did. Like we both swiped on each other, but yeah.
Yeah.
This is like one of the few like successful relationships that ever came out of OkCupid, so.
And who would like talk more and try to like...
Oh, definitely me.
Definitely you.
Definitely me.
Com certeza
I
ele,
talk a lot.
gente.
Definitely me. I talk a lot.
How was the first conversation? Do you remember? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't remember well at all. I remember it not being a great conversation, but I don't remember anything that it was about.
I don't remember.
I think the only reason we really kept talking to each other is that both of us had like a relatively detailed profile, and so we kind of kept giving it a few tries.
A segunda pergunta, gente, é quando pretendem ter filho?
Oh, when do I intend to have kids?
Us.
Okay, us. We've talked about this actually a lot. We have talked about this since probably within like 3 or 4 months into us dating.
Yeah.
It was really important for us to have kids, and when
I said 27.
Yeah, 27 was about like for her age. I'm 20. I'd be 29 at that time. So, main thing for me is for me to be under the age of 34, and for her to preferably start before the age of 30. That way, it's a lot easier on our bodies and less chance of having a medical disability.
Então eu quero com 27 e ele concorda. Então é basicamente isso. Se acontecer antes, não tem problema, mas a gente quer muito continuar no plano. A terceira pergunta é, Júlia, você pretende estudar isso? Sim, o quê? Sim, eu não só pretendo como eu vou, mas depende de documentação e tudo mais. Então, eu vou estudar higiene dental, que é um curso aqui que tem nos Estados Unidos e não tem no Brasil. Então, basicamente, aqui o dentista, ele faz mais a parte de cirurgia. Ele não faz a limpeza, a placa, raio-x. Eu nem sei se ele não faz, mas quem faz isso aqui é o higienista dental. Então, existe esse curso aqui. Existe esse curso aqui. E é o que eu vou fazer. E ele, é de 2 anos e meio. É bem rápido. Quarta pergunta é, a família dele ficou com preconceito sobre o relacionamento de vocês? Então, eu falei sobre isso no vídeo passado. Vou deixar aqui no card para vocês verem. Mas eu vou perguntar aqui agora para ele para ver o que ele vai dizer.
Yes, definitely to an extent, for sure. They're like, oh, okay, well, we'll see where this goes. Kind of, okay, maybe this is just a phase kind of thing. But they knew that I was serious about it because they had seen me like talk and text to other girls, but they knew I was a little bit more serious about her because I talked to her a lot more and it had been going on for longer. So, yeah,
O que mais gostam de fazer juntos? Eu vou responder primeiro. Eu acho que o que a gente mais gosta de fazer juntos é, assistir série juntos e filme antes de dormir. Então, a gente fala que vamos ver um filme e a gente vai ver um filme. Ou então, passar um tempo com o doggo. Acho que é isso.
I think you and I will have different answers to this. I think you really like to sit and talk and watch TV shows.
I said that's what we like to do, to watch TV shows and movies.
Which I do too. I think the main thing that we difference in is like I tend to want to watch different things a little bit. We'll watch 90 Day Fiancé or some reality show that she really likes, but like some of those shows, they're just like, they're very, like to me, like your teeth are on edge, nails on a chalkboard. I can only watch it for so much because it just literally makes my Yeah, Mando, his hair gets everywhere. Cooking together, that's pretty fun.
We don't cook together.
We do every now and then. We do
We're
at least
actually
every...
going to cook together.
Yeah.
Keep watching this.
Yeah.
Not
There's
this
gonna be
video.
another video, but not this video. I don't know, at least every 2 weeks we'll cook together. Otherwise, I'll do something for you. You'll do something for me. Normally, the latter.
You like a breakfast. Yes.
Yeah, I make breakfast for her sometimes.
Sexta pergunta. Qual a melhor fase e a fase mais difícil do relacionamento?
The best phase is probably right now. I would say, like, things just kind of keep getting better and better as we both grow as people individually, and because we're married, growing together as one. Probably the hardest phase was probably when it was hardest for you.
And you were in China.
No, I actually think that was a really good time for us because we worked so hard to grow close together that we really did grow close together. Because we had a 13-hour time difference between us.
Yes. Então, quando eu acordasse, ele estava indo dormir, porque ele estava na China. Então, era, tipo, 13 horas de diferença. E, tipo, vice-versa. Então, a gente não se encontrava. Tipo, ou eu ia dormir muito tarde e ele acordava muito cedo, ou, tipo, a gente se falava durante o dia, mas ficava muito doido. Isso foi, tipo, por 2 meses.
I think the hardest time was when you, either just before you moved to the States, before you could get an au pair secured, agency secured, or after you moved. And it wasn't, you're like, oh, this is what the suburbs are like. I can't just get on a bus and go do something. I have to walk like a mile because I had to support you during that time, or, yeah. I don't know. The best time's definitely now, though.
Qual a melhor e pior coisa de ser casado com uma brazuca? 2 pessoas perguntaram isso. E uma falou em relação às diferenças culturais.
Not considering food, just like her as a person. No, I'm just kidding. No, probably the best thing about dating a Brazilian, I'm trying to think about like dating a Brazilian, not like you specifically, or being married to one. You like genuinely have passions and you don't like act the exact same as everybody else. Like, so I got my Starbucks coffee and there's a really long line and this person behind me didn't have a mask on. Like, that gets really annoying really fast. That's why a lot of people...
Não tem frescura, é isso que ele quer dizer.
Yeah, it gets really annoying really quickly when people are when women are like the exact same personality-wise because they're so afraid to be themselves, or when they just never really pursued interest themselves. Probably the worst thing about it is also, I think, a really good thing, is Brazilian women are a little spicier. So, like, what I mean by that is, like, if they're upset with you, they'll let you know, right? I find that, like, yeah, that can be sometimes, like, really confrontational, and that can be kind of weird for Americans, but I much prefer that to the latter where you just wait, and you wait, and you wait, and then all of a sudden you explode. I don't like that. I'd rather get out of the way right away. And what I really like about Julia, and this is why it doesn't quite apply to her, so I was kind of wondering if I should mention that, was Julia and I do a really good job of trying to not escalate things. So, like, if one of us is upset, we're not going to, like, say that. Like, we'll have that one mean thing we want to say, but we won't say it.
Yeah.
Usually, anyways.
Yeah.
No, we normally don't, and that's really nice. But we're still getting it out of the way. Any confrontation, any tension, we just get it out of the way right away. So it doesn't sit there and build. That's like the worst thing, but also the best thing.
Ele fala ou pretende aprender a falar português?
I speak a little bit, but like I only know a few phrases. So like, you know, te amo, boa noite, minha alegria, or Mandinho, vem cá aqui. Like I know like a few phrases, right? But like not a lot of nouns, not a lot of participle phrases or verbs. So just a few phrases, just enough to kind of get me by. Usually I know just enough Spanish that sometimes I can get by, depending on the accent, like a little bit better, but not a lot. Yeah, so like she does the phrase, because she knows it's like not much better. It's only like maybe 5 or 10% more than I can understand, which is not enough to usually carry a conversation, just enough to be like, ¿dónde está el baño? Or like, hey, like I need to get to this street, can you help me?
A próxima pergunta é pra ele, como é o seu trabalho?
There's lots of videos you can find on YouTube that kind of explain the process. And you can go to GoArmy website and look at some of the process. But essentially what it is an internship. So kind of like a job in college where it's like an internship that hopefully leads to a full-time job. If you contract, that basically means you and the Army have come to an agreement. You will sign a legal document. You start getting paid, and you're guaranteed to go into the Army one of two ways. If you fail the internship after getting contracted, you're going to go in, you're going to be an enlisted person.
So basically, they pay for his college.
Yeah.
And he's doing the internship. And after he's done with college, then he starts a full-time job.
Yes.
It's like paying them for paying his school.
Yes. And so they pay for my school, and I get 4 years of college paid for it, the tuition specifically. I can change that to room and board instead of tuition, whichever is more expensive. And I don't have to go full-time. I can go do what's called National Guard or Reserve, which basically means I'm part-time. I work once a month for 3 or 4 days. And then once a year, I'll work 1 month, like 1 month straight. And that's how National Guard and Reserve work. Active is full-time, work 5, 6, 7 days a week.
A 10ª pergunta é, vocês são cristãos? Sim, nós somos cristãos.
Oh, com certeza. No, yeah, of course. It's something that was... So kind of going back to the profiles that we were looking at in the very beginning, that like both her and I had very detailed profiles, but they went into that. And so I'm like, nah, I kind of need to date someone who's a Christian. Kind of need to match up, and if I'm going to become one with someone else, it has to be someone who believes the same.
Very important, yeah.
And yeah, it was very important to us, and it still is.
Você alguma vez na vida imaginou que se casaria com uma brasileira?
No, not necessarily Brazilian. I kind of knew, because I started to follow kind of the path that my uncle took, and he married a foreigner. He married a Spaniard. And so I kind of like knew at the age of like 12 or 13, like there's probably a much higher chance of me marrying a foreigner than most people in the States. Like, I guess I should kind of think about that, whether I'm open to that and kind of like look into that. And I kind of did as I was growing up, like, you know what, that'd be kind of cool. Like, what are some cultures where the average person from that culture is cool and would kind of mesh with me? So yeah, it definitely occurred to me at some point, did I ever like, it's going to be a Brazilian? Nah, never like that. But the possibility definitely occurred to me, like, oh, that could happen.
Por que você começou a usar o aplicativo onde conheceu a Júlia? Olha, tá querendo saber da vida do menino, calma aí.
Mostly I was pretty bored. That was definitely how it started. I had just gotten through with a breakup, and this was probably a month or two before I met Julia, and it had been a little while, and so I started messing around on the app. Went on a few different dates from there, but none of them really went anywhere. None of them had any real success. And then kind of going back in earlier where I was mentioned, like, yeah, I ended up being with foreigners. So like I wasn't afraid to swipe right, I guess you could say, on foreigners, say from other countries. So saw Julia. Thankfully, she didn't list her height in her profile. I never would have swiped right at then, because like. Well, I've mentioned this a few times, like I never would have approached Julia, because I used to approach women a lot. I never would have done that if I had seen her in person, because she's so short. I would have been like, that's
me.
Yeah, but I got to know her for her, and so I think that's why kind of God led me to that app and why it worked out the way it did, because if I had met her in person, it wouldn't have happened. But digitally, I grew connected to her. I'm like, all right, there's a real connection here. There's something that can work here, and so... I'll work through the height issues. Still am.
Gente, só para abrir parênteses aqui, ó. Eu tenho 1,49 centímetros. É isso. 1,49 centímetros. É isso. O que você mais gosta na Júlia? Externo e interno.
Julia has one of the kindest hearts, and one of the most... Like, she really does have a really, really kind heart. But she's also extremely honest, not just with herself, but not just with other people, but with herself. So she's willing to recognize, hey, I was wrong, and admit that to other people. And I think that's a very kind act to do, not just to other people, but to herself. But also, she's honest enough with herself so that when she's right, she recognizes that she's right, but she's not mean about it either. She's kind. So that kind of all relates back to her being super kind. And then externally, I mean, have you seen my wife? She's amazing. Brasileira. Brasileira.
O que você mais admira nele? Então essa é pra mim, vamos lá. Gente, a mesma coisa que ele falou, eu acho que ele é a pessoa que eu conheço que tem, tipo, o melhor coração. e a bateria da câmera vai acabar, mas eu vou continuar a câmera do celular. Enfim. Então ele é a pessoa assim que eu conheço que tem o melhor coração. Ele é muito bonzinho, tipo, ele é duro e tal, mas tipo, ele é muito carinhoso com todo mundo, qualquer pessoa. Teve uma vez que ele foi fazer um exame que ele saiu dopado, ele pediu pra dar um beijo e abraçar a enfermeira pra agradecer. Você não tem noção. Algum momento vocês pensaram que não fosse dar certo?
I don't think so. There are definitely some times where like this is difficult where we sat down but that was mostly due to the legal system, not so much to do with our relationship.
But I think at the beginning we didn't see us getting this far. And like about that date, that Valentine's
after the
date.
first date, you're kind of like, I'll give it one more try, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was really awkward.
So if you have a good connection with somebody, or at least it looks like it on paper, and you have a bad like first date, maybe try that second date. Maybe it works out because it really did for us.
Você tinha em mente que ia voltar pro Brasil depois do au pair? Ele decidiu te pedir em casamento quando você tava aí? Então, eu sabia que eu não ia voltar porque se eu não casasse com ele, eu sabia que eu ia fazer faculdade. Então, eu já ia emendar o au pair na faculdade. Eu faria os 2 anos de au pair e trocaria o meu visto para estudante. Mas, sim, ele me pediu em casamento no Natal. Tem um vídeo, eu vou deixar no card. E a gente acabou casando e eu vou acabar fazendo a faculdade quando a gente se mudar por causa do exército. Como foi a primeira impressão que tu teve da Júlia?
I thought she was beautiful. I thought she was pretty smart. I knew she spoke. I knew that she was going to be at least reasonably fluent in English, which Julia has always never believed that she was fluent. But from the moment I met her, she's fluent in English. So yeah, she doesn't believe. Yeah, smart, beautiful. Hopefully, and I was hoping that like her profile about being a Christian and would be true, and that she would hopefully like kind of enjoy my personality, because I tend to be a rather dry person. Pretty dry. I'll say jokes, but my jokes sometimes are pretty dark. So, yeah.
Qual a sensação que sentiu quando embarcou a primeira vez para ver a Júlia no Brasil?
A sense of adventure, excitement. Like as far as the trip, as far as on the way there, definitely like, okay, yeah, I'm really doing this. All right, cool. So if you're watching this, you've probably seen the video where she surprises me and her dad comes to pick me up, and I was expecting to go visit her at work. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll meet all my friends, and I see her. I'm like, I should have known, because it really did surprise me.
Oh yeah, because I told him I wasn't going to the airport, but I was there.
Yeah, she was there. Pure elation, just pure happiness. I tend to be pretty aware of what's going on around me, but I saw her and it was just kind of like focused in, and I don't know what's going on around me anymore. All that matters is that I'm with her right now. That was kind of what it was like.
We were very nervous then.
Yeah.
Adquiriu algum costume brasileiro pela convivência com a Júlia? Eu não sei se ele vai pensar isso, mas eu vou falar. Comer arroz com feijão.
Oh, definitely. Besides the food that I love to eat now, you guys make some good rice, man. What can I say? Probably removing the electrical sockets from that. That's definitely something I've started doing. Now, I don't do it because like we have an electrocution risk, but it actually does save some money with the electric costs. So that's why I was like, all right, I'll start doing that.
Então, gente, sabe no Brasil quando começa a tempestade, a mãe começa a desligar a geladeira, o fogão, não sei o quê? Aqui eu comecei a fazer a mesma coisa, ele ficou assim, por que você está fazendo isso? Eu falei, não, porque pode vir uma corrente, ele não vai acontecer. Aí eu, não sei, é hábito brasileiro.
I'm sure there are more. That's the one that comes to my mind immediately.
So my uncle has a message for you. Hi, Jace. Are you taking care of my sweet Julia? I hope so.
I certainly try to, anyways. Cook her breakfast in the morning sometimes. Yeah, I try. She deserves it.
Qual o maior desafio de viver com uma brasileira?
You don't really have this problem because sometimes you're not very Brazilian, but like I would say probably the difference in time. The way you all like, they'll like arrive 2 hours late or an hour late. Julia doesn't act like that, which that's why when you're like, what's the hardest thing about marrying a Brazilian? Like, in some ways she's not. Like, she doesn't have like the things that are hardest to deal with.
É só muito pontual.
I would say probably the biggest challenge is the isolation that your partner feels. Mm-hmm. So like we live in Houston, which is arguably the most diverse city in the nation, but there's not a lot of Brazilians that live here. So like that's what I was gonna say. Like probably the hardest thing is that it's sometimes hard for Julia to connect with her culture because like Like if we want to go get acai, either we spend a lot to kind of buy a knockoff that's sold in the store, or we have to drive to a very place that kind of runs out of a storage unit on the far north side of town, which is run by a Brazilian, very, very authentic, but to kind of relate to Brazilian, like it's not like we're living in Florida where a lot of Brazilians live, or in New York where a lot of Brazilians live. Not a lot of Brazilians move to Houston, which I kind of don't understand because
there's
some like on the west side, west
a
of
few
Katy.
thousands of Brazilians here, but they are like in the suburbs.
A bateria da câmera acabou, né? Porque a fulana aqui não botou pra carregar, mas a gente vai responder a última pergunta aqui agora pelo meu telefone. A última pergunta é: qual a idade de vocês?
I'm 22.
E eu tenho 21, gente. Eu ia falar 19, não sei porquê. Acho que eu parei no tempo quando eu saí do Brasil. Na verdade, eu saí com 20, sei lá. Eu tenho 21 e ele tem 22, mas ele já vai fazer 23 em 2 semanas. E é isso. Muito obrigada por terem assistido até aqui. Eu espero que vocês tenham gostado desse vídeo. Espero que vocês tenham gostado dele, tirado suas dúvidas sobre ele, essa pessoa misteriosa. E esquisita, ele é esquisito, maluco.
Obrigado. Thank you for watching.
Um beijo, gente. Até o próximo vídeo. Bye!